SMX Center in Las Vegas. It's UNLV basketball as the Runnin' Rebels renew a series with the Pacific Tigers of the West Coast Conference. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Credasco along with Donovan Stewart. And Donovan, the National Finals rodeo is gone. UNLV is back on its home court for the first time in 22 days. And that blowout loss to BYU, that's in the distant past. Now, Donovan, the Rebels have had their final exams this week. Will we see a refreshed UNLV Runnin' Rebel basketball team tonight?
I think we will. I think we'll see a refreshed Runnin' Rebel basketball team. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and I remember being a former UNLV Runnin' Rebel and having this time and having a month off from school, having our finals done, being able to get on the court, get some additional practice time, whether it's individual or with my team. So I think they'll be refreshed, they'll be ready to go, and they'll be ready to put that BYU loss way behind them.
And UNLV will benefit tonight from the return of sharpshooter Jonah Antonio. He's been out for exactly 1 month, and during that span, he missed 6 games.
Yes, Jonah Antonio, it was a big loss for the Rebels. He provides a lot of spacing of the floor because he shoots the ball so well. It allows the penetrator to get into the lane and big guys to have more space to work on the inside. He provides depth at the guard position. He's a big guard at about 6'4". His size and versatility on the offensive and defensive end really helps the Rebels and will provide a lot of, provide what the Rebels need.
Pacific is a team that comes in at 10-3, and last year they won a total of 14 games for the entire season. Their secret to success this year has been rebounding, particularly on the defensive end, and teams are not getting second chances. So Donovan, talk about the Tiger team, and let's lead off with the versatile swingman, Jahlil Tripp.
Yes, Jahlil Tripp, he's an all West Coast Conference guard. He's the team leader. He's their best scorer, their best rebounder, and a really good slasher and finisher around the basket. He sets the tone for the Tigers on the effort side as well as the toughness side. So the Rebels are going to have to really keep an eye on Jahlil Tripp.
These teams have played a total of 41 times, dating back to the late 1960s. Coming up, it's UNLV Runnin' Rebel basketball. The Rebels take on the University of Pacific. We'll return with the starting lineups, the tip-off for tonight's game right after this. 6'5", 220-pound senior out of Brooklyn, New York. They have to keep an eye on him. He's got a couple of 20-point games and a couple of 10-rebound games. And Amari McCray in the post at 6'9", the junior. Basically 4 guards for Damon Stoudemire now in his 4th season. For TJ Otzelberger and your running Rebels tonight, out of the backcourt, it'll be Marvin Coleman with the start, the 6'2" sophomore from Foothills High School here in Las Vegas. And so Coleman gets a shot to start tonight. Also in the backcourt at the 2-guard spot, Amari Hardy. Hardy 6'2", junior, Detroit, Michigan. The front line, Jonah Antonio. Yes, he is back after a month's absence. And he has his left hand. It is bandaged up. And Antonio will get an opportunity to give UNLV some outside scoring punch. Also in the front court, Nick Blair. Blair 6'5", 215, the senior, out of Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman and the Idaho transfer. And he will start in place of Donnie Tillman tonight. And Mbake Jong in the post, 6'11", Dakar, Senegal. Last year against UOP, it was a rout by the running Rebels, 96-70, right here at the Thomas & Mack. It will be a lot closer. We can almost guarantee that here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tigers, they have quite a bit of depth, so expect to see a lot of guys out there on the floor. And they have a lot of guys that can score. They have over 10 guys that have hit double figures so far this year. So with their depth and their ability to score the ball, it should be a high-scoring game.
Mbake Jong to jump center for UNLV against Amari McCray. And UNLV has done an effective job in controlling the opening tap. Running Rebels returning home, first time in 22 days, 11 days since that blowout loss at BYU. Let's see what the Running Rebels have. The ball is in the air, and the back tap controlled by Marvin Coleman and the Running Rebels of UNLV. Tight man for man, and off the switch, Coleman lob underneath. Nice catch underneath by Mbake Jong. He tries to go to the hole, lays it up off glass. He's fouled on the drive. They'll say that foul occurred on the floor.
Great decision by Jong, not going up, being out of control, trying to make a play out of that. Came down and tried to make a strong play on the offensive end.
So the first foul against Pacific. Tigers at now 10-3 on the season. UNLV is 3-3 here in the confines of the Thomas & Mack Center. Shake and bake move Hardy. Outside, here's Coleman. He had a screen, he gives it up. Back to Hardy with 10 on the shot clock. Double team, tries to get through traffic, stolen away by Justin Moore. And ahead of the field, that was Jaleel Tripp. And that shot was deflected out of there. Here's Coleman. He'll slow things out and bring the ball back up top.
Good decision by Coleman. You want to get the ball moving around a little bit. Try to get the defense going side to side.
Rebels with the weave. Antonio, they're trying to get him open. They're trying to drive and kick. They practice that an awful lot. 6 on the shot clock. Here's Jong, passes up the 3, driving the lane, high off the glass, draws the foul.
And Mbake Jong looking like a stretch 4 out there. Great pump fake dribble.
Don't tell him to start shooting threes.
But great pump fake dribble, gets this guy in the air, and then is able to get to the basket and to the free throw line off one dribble. Really good move by Mbake Jong.
That foul goes against Justin Moore of the Pacific Tigers, and so no score through the first minute and 1 second. And Jong at the free throw line makes good on the first. 7 out of 7 in the game here against Pacific a year ago, and he wound up with 16 points. He's averaging 9 points and 10 rebounds per game at the free throw line. He's shooting 62% as he is in field goal percentage as well.
Yeah, he's got great touch from the free throw line. And, you know, in talking to him, you know, he has been working on his all-around game, so cut him a little slack, Tony.
So Antonio's back. They come back with the trap. Pacific breaks the pressure. Here's Moore. Moore dribble penetration high off the glass, rolls around and in. He had to get it up high over Mbake Jong, and we are tied at 2 apiece as Justin Moore puts the Tigers on the scoreboard. We're knotted up at 2.
Yeah, and he's another guy that can put some points on the board, as well as assist, and great move and great finish on the offensive end.
Rebels get careless with the basketball and turn it over. Jong tried to catch the ball and lost it out of bounds. Once again, you know, you have Mbake Jong, but he's way out, 19 feet away from the basket, and you really want him to be underneath.
Yeah.
Or at least mid-post.
And he comes out quite a bit to set that screen, and he does a lot of diving and is able to catch lobs, but yeah.
Way outside, Finston, 11 on the shot clock. Price Noel, dribble drive, and reverse pivot travel. Now that foot just slipped here. Blame it on the rodeo. Blame it on the rodeo.
Or blame it on Blair. Great moving his feet, able to cut him off.
No, we blame everything on the rodeo. So yesterday, even though the rodeo was gone, commencement ceremonies were here at the Thomas and Mack. So the Rebels just got on the court today for the shoot around after being gone for 22 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of being a running Rebel.
Blair, three-pointer swish! And he points to his head. It's like, think smart, take the open shot. Nick Blair buries it.
Or was that the Carmelo Anthony three-point to the head thing?
All right, either way, it counts. And Rebels lead by 3. Good defensive pressure and intensity by UNLV so far.
But that's part of being a running Rebel. Around this time of year when the rodeo comes to town, we just get used to not being in the Thomas and Mack Center. And the running Rebels
cross, nice move. And Moore takes it to the bank and in. 4 points for Moore.
Yeah, great facility at Mendenhall Center. They're able to get in there and get some good practice time. But that's just part of Las Vegas, our community, and being a running Rebel at this time.
Coleman was out of control. The shot was altered by Jabril Price Noel, and in the lane, Finston started his drive, and they might get Coleman back the other way. And that's frustration for Marvin Coleman. He just has to stay under control. And so in the future, you know, yesterday, head coach TJ Otzelberger was talking about the rodeo and said that it is a lot different than in other places he has been as a coach, that you are chased out of your venue. In the future, next year, the Rebels play at Hawaii. There's a lot of talk about playing at different venues here in this city, potentially in a couple of years.
Yeah, and that's one of the awesome blessings and opportunities that we have here in Las Vegas. We can go down the street. We've got, you know, T-Mobile, MGM, New Orleans Hotel and Casino. I mean, there's a lot of great venues here where we can play quote-unquote mutual, games.
Antonio wanted a trigger. Back it goes to Hardy on the angle on the right side. And he hangs out of the ball. He's double teamed. Ball fake underneath. Here's Blair in traffic. Blair goes up. Little floater. The 5-footer rolls in. 5 points in the game for Nick Blair. Running Rebel lead back to 3. Boy, Nick Blair looks like a different player. He's only averaging 4 points per game and 4 boards.
And he's already got 5.
That's a confidence boost, right? Yeah. Underneath the finish by Amari McCray.
He has the ability to score. He's put some numbers up last year. He hit that 3 that gave him some confidence, and then really good cut down the middle there, and we all know he can finish on the inside.
That was the first triple of the year, in fact, for Nick Blair. 0 for 13 start from behind the arc. Behind the back with the dribble, Hardy stops in the lane. Blair, nice pass underneath, the dunk, and one. And Mbake Jong with the finish.
Man. Really good interior passing there.
We have got a timeout on the court. Running Rebels with a 9-6 advantage. 15:48 to go first half. Nick Blair gets the start for UNLV tonight, and he responds 2 out of 2 from the floor, and he scored from inside and out.
Great pass by Amari Hardy, and he hasn't made many from there this year, but
none coming into that shot.
But guess what? It's winter break, and he's 1 for 1. And then the great pass again from Ahari, and we all know Blair can really score on the inside. Great athlete and a glue guy. It's great to see him hit a few buckets early.
And Mbake Jong will go to the free throw line, the 6'11 junior. And the free throw is good, completes the three-point play. Look at Mbake Jong go. Has he missed any sort of a shot against Pacific? Rebels backing up to a 2-3 zone. So this is something they worked on. There's trip, penetration, and the drive left-handed. Can't get it to go down.
Yeah.
Difficult shot over Jong.
Yeah, really good job changing that shot and not fouling. One of the things I think Jong has worked on over the summer. So good play for Jong.
Amari Hardy outside and then underneath. And on the baseline, Tillman turns it over. Donnie Tillman just needs to get into his rhythm offensively and defensively early in the game, and he's also been saddled with foul trouble.
Yeah, and they look to go to him just now. You know, they thought they had an advantage there against Finston, and you know he just kind of got a little bit ahead of himself there. But I think they'll go back. He's got a lot of talent and ability.
The Pacific Tigers out of Stockton, California, coming off of a win against Cal Northridge, hard-fought, 79-73, in a game in which they led by 21 points in that contest. What impressed me most was defensively at Long Beach. 65-46 was the final. Timer is down to 5. Here's more. Fadeaway, three-pointer, doesn't even draw iron. Tapped around, shot clock violation. Good job by the running Rebels of UNLV. Boy, the Rebels defense, they've turned it up a notch here tonight.
Great defense, but on top of that, they were able to really hustle and dive for that loose ball, which is really important. You don't want to play great defense for 30 seconds and then give up the ball or lose it to a loose ball. So great job finishing that play by the running Rebels.
UNLV with 3 assists on 3 baskets, and that's another encouraging sign.
Yeah, great passing. I think Amari Hardy had a couple of those. And good interior passing, you know, getting in the lane and making not 1 but 2 passes. And there they go, going back into.
Here's Tillman. Baseline. He's tripped up. And they're going to charge the foul against Austin Vereen. And that'll be his first personal foul and the 4th team foul. 2 already on McCray. So Coleman to trigger it inbounds. Rebels are spread out. Look at the spacing on the inbounds pass. Deep to Mbake. They had isolation for Tillman. Gives up the rock, Blair. Tillman jostling for position underneath as he's working against Gary Chavician. Drive by Tillman, second turnover. Travels.
You know what? I mean, they've gone to him 3 times in a row. That was a really good inbounds play. You know, they had a couple of options there. They had Mbake coming off of that back screen and then Coleman coming off the down screen, but wasn't able to capitalize on that.
Rebels up by 4. Also in the game, James Hampshire, the big fella, 7'1", 255. So Mbake's going to have to box him out underneath. Top Chavician, guarded by Hardy. Good defense by UNLV. Pierre Crockrell. Crockrell, a little floater on the baseline drive, whistle and a foul, and it'll come back the Rebels' way. So the 15th foul with 13:57 to go. Vitaly Shebel checking in for UNLV.
Yeah, and Vitaly, versatile big man, can shoot the 3. You know, he is the stretch 4, and can also finish around the basket.
Here's Shebel up top. Swing it on the right side. Hardy almost runs it over Mbake Jong. Cross-court pass, Coleman. Penetration dribble, Coleman cradles it, and his shot is swatted away underneath by James Hampshire. 8 on the shot clock. There's Hardy from 3-point range. That shot was deflected. It was blocked by Chavician. And back come the Tigers of UOP. Who's down with UOP? It's Crockrell. Javici, and I went old school on you.
Yeah, you know me. Good job, Tony. I'll finish that for you.
I've been saving it up for 22 days for you. Here's Vereen up top. Pacific looks confused, and that three-pointer is good by Chavician. Gary Chavician, the Idaho State transfer, and he connects from distance, and it's a 10-9 game.
Talk about a high degree of difficulty three-point shot there. You know, he really stepped into that and was able to rise up and knock it down.
Hardy terminates a dribble, three-pointer on the way. That's Tillman, side of the iron and off. And Mbake Jong gets the rebound. Now Hardy. Jong sets the screen. Will they do the give and go? No, Hardy stops in the paint. Now he gives it off, and that shot is swatted back again by Hampshire. And Mbake Jong tried the jump hook. Coleman, timer down to 6, down to 5. 15-footer air ball by Mbake Jong. So this is the point in the game where the Rebels can ill afford to go through a drought.
Yeah, they need a good defensive stop here and a good good
they
stop.
Almost get the end one. And Mbake Jong will be charged with the foul. And 2 free throws coming up. 2 throws for James Hampshire.
And Hampshire being aggressive. You know, he's really challenging Mbake on the inside there and trying to take it to him on the offensive end.
So Hampshire, who played at Casper College, a good interior passer, and they like to run the high-low with Hampshire. I like that he bends his knees for a 7-footer, but that's not going to help that free throw. You like that? Yeah. A little bend?
Yeah.
That's a big bend. At 7-1, that is a big, big bend.
Yeah, you got to bend your knees.
Running Rebels just 3-3 at home and trying to add up some more wins and momentum going into conference season. The one good thing for UNLV, Donovan, the fact that they have the one conference win and a gutty win at Fresno State.
Yeah, and that was a really important win for them. You know, they've gutted it out many games, you know, down to the wire, overtime. I don't know how many overtime games that they've been a part of.
The Rebels were 1 for their last 6. The drive by Jenkins and the little pull-up for 2. And UOP has the lead at 12-10 on a Jenkins field goal. Well, these youngsters for Pacific give them a lot of energy. And the running Rebels, again, 1 for their last 6. Hardy goes deep. Here's Jonah Antonio for 3. And that rattles out over the back on Tillman. So that'll lead us to the media timeout. UNLV has gone bone dry after they got out to a really good start. And the running Rebels trail by 2. UNLV has gone about 4 minutes without scoring since the Mbake Jong field goal, the dunk, and the foul. And so UNLV just has to keep fighting through these droughts. And it is a game of spurts. However, you can't get 2 or 3 of these droughts within the framework of a game.
Yeah, I think that for the Tigers, they played 10 guys so far. So that's one of the benefits of depth. They came out and the Rebels had the advantage. They were doing really well, and then substitution. Next thing you know, you're in a different game, and it's a different strategy. And what was working, a few minutes ago, is no longer working. So being able to adjust and think on the fly, I think is going to be important for this game.
The Rebels are trying to pack in the 2-3 zone. And Damon Stoudemire sticks with the two freshmen in the backcourt, Denkis Jenkins and Pierre Crockrell. Javician, Crockrell deep in the corner, and that jumper is good from three-point range by Austin Vereen. And look at here, this Rebel drought is costing them. They now trail by 4. They need something to happen here on the offensive end. Again, they get it down low. Again, it goes to Tillman. Three-pointer on the way. Blair, and that rattles in. His second triple of the night after going without a 3 coming into tonight.
I told you, we're starting over, man. It's winter break. It's like a new season.
Well, that was a nice offensive possession because Tillman was more or less forcing it. Crockrell. Javician from the elbow jumper, no. Rebound fought for, kept on the floor, tapped back out. Crockrell, Javician, 25-footer, and that rings out. Tillman rips for UNLV, and off to Amari Hardy. Hardy off the double team. Shebel, and here's Blair. Blair to Antonio. Antonio 0 for 1 from three-point range. Blair's looking in his direction around a curl. Here's Hardy, and Hardy gets fouled by Jenkins. And that'll be the 6th team foul against UOP. And Mbake Jong checks back in, along with Marvin Coleman for UNLV.
Yeah, good, excellent shot. I mean, the Rebels are just moving the ball, and he was able to get open and knock it down. So it's good to see Nick Blair get a few shots in. He's such a hard worker, such a team guy, such a gritty player. It's good to see him get it going for the running Rebels.
Coleman, Jong up top. Tillman, isolation, penetration, drive, spin move, little floater two.
There you go. Tillman, way to use the mismatch. He's got a 3 or 4 inch advantage on him, and he saw that right away and was able to attack the basket, spin move, and lay it up right over him.
UNLV just cleared out the lane. Good isolation. And again, the last 2 possessions for Tillman have been very good. With the pass, the assist, and on that last play, scores the easy bucket inside. Crockrell, and then Justin Moore. Moore looks at the shot clock. It's down to 6 off the double team. There's Crockrell, lets it fly, rolls around, and gets a friendly bounce it in for 2. Pierre Crockrell.
Really friendly bounce. That bounced around and hit the rim.
Well, he has good
4
energy.
or 5 times.
Yeah, player that came off the bench in their last game underneath the reverse layup attempt by Jong, and that's blocked again for UOP Hampshire with his 3rd block of the game.
Yeah, he's a force on the inside. I mean, 7'1", really long arms. He's doing a good job in there.
Timer down to 2-1. Antonio, that's going to be short. And the timer ran out. It's pulled down by Hampshire. Back the other way. Stutter step move by Denkis Jennings, freshman, Dallas, Texas, Hillcrest High School. 1-point lead for UOP in a tightly contested first half. Jenkins up top, Vereen. And Hampshire with the timer down to 9, trying to get a mismatch. Moore pulls up, 3-point range, swish. That was good patience by UOP, and all Justin Moore needed was a little space, and he let it fly for the triple.
Yeah, he's a really good shooter. Good, solid scorer, solid shooter. Can't give him any space.
Pacific 2 out of 4 from 3-point range. And Marvin Coleman with a stick back off the miss by Jonah Antonio.
Great rebound in there, Marvin Coleman. Gritty player. Was able to box out and put a body on someone and get a rebound and an easy layup.
Rebels are switching up defensively. Crockrell, little floater high off the glass, was way short. Antonio hauls it in for UNLV. Running Rebels looking to tie or take the lead. Antonio bounce pass. Here's Jong, lay it up off the glass. Won't fall, but it'll go to the free throw line. The foul against James Hampshire.
Good job, Jonah Antonio, creating that shot for him. You know, Marvin Coleman was covered, and he brought the ball up and was able to come off the screen, do a little pocket pass into Mbake Jean. So good play by Jonah.
And Jong will go to the free throw line when we return from the Thomas and Mack. Rebels trail by 2. And Mbake Jong will go back to the free throw line where he's 3 out of 3. He's 1 for 4 from the field, and he has a total of 5 points, and will try to tie this game up. So the Rebels are in the bonus now. 7th team foul against UOP. Welcome back, Tony Cardasco and Donovan Stewart, live from the Thomas and Mack. Running Rebels 6 out of 16 from the floor, 38%. UOP 8 for 15, 53% shooting. And the second free throw by Jong makes it a 1-point game. And the Rebels are now, after the free throw make, they're going to pick it up defensively in the backcourt.
Yeah, they're making a lot of adjustments and really mixing it up on the defensive end. We're seeing 2-3 zone. We're seeing man-to-man, and then obviously we've got the press. You know, also the Rebels are fighting for every rebound. They're limiting the Tigers. They have 0 second chance points right now. So they're doing a really good job on the offensive boards, just keeping them, you know, to one shot or limiting their scoring.
Does not see the clock, but Justin Moore does from 3-point range, and he buries it. The timer had just expired. You might have heard the buzzer go off, and it's back to a 4-point lead for UOP. Back the other way, here's Tillman. He'll work against Finston. He wanted to pull up and trigger, does not. Trailer Coleman. Around the curl, that's Hamilton. 3-pointer on the way, Tillman. He'll the iron and off, and no second chance for UNLV there. A little tightrope maneuver for Jaleel Tripp. And here's Moore. And Mbake Jong has gone out to cover every time someone has the ball up top. Underneath, Shaquille Fritz, who comes in at that break.
Yeah,
and Mbake Jong alters the shot again.
Yeah, great hustle by Jong. He was on one side of the court and hustled all the way over to the other side to save that play there.
Around the horn, it goes over now to Coleman. So the running Rebels trying to cut into this 4-point lead. Hamilton with Hardy on the bench. He'll check into the next timeout. Swooping jump hook, Jong, no. Whistle, rebounding foul against UNLV.
Yeah, looked like Tillman may have nudged him in the back a little bit there.
Second personal on Donnie Tillman. Got to keep him out of foul trouble. And he's limiting his own minutes as he'll check out. And Jonah Antonio comes back in for UNLV.
Now Sheeble's at the center spot, or he's the big man now.
I'll tell you what, Mbake Jong has done a terrific job defensively tonight.
Yeah, he's such an athletic big man. Covers with long arms. He covers the court well. He's able to get out on screens, kind of like Sheeble's doing right there, and then sprint all the way back to the rim.
Jenkins
cover a lot of territory.
On the drive, in the passing lane, stolen away. Coleman will go to the free throw line. Foul on Jaleel Tripp.
And that's great defense by Sheeble there, because like we were just talking about, he was all the way at half court, and he's able to run back and cut off that pass, because that was probably the best pass that the offense could have made at that point. So great hustle by Sheeble, and then Marvin is able to get that steal.
So Coleman will go to the free throw line. What we see out of the Pacific Tigers, they run the same offense as the University of Virginia and Tony Bennett does. It's called circle motion. And Coleman will earn the bonus. And Tony Bennett got it from his dad, Dick Bennett. And essentially, you have 2 blockers or screeners, and then you have 3 movers. And so the screeners will position themselves up top. Second free throw rolls in, probably up top and then down in the low corner of the block.
Yeah.
And then it's a 3-man game, and they'll set the flare screens and they'll set down screens as well. But the Rebels are cutting into that as Moore is off balance as he throws up that runner. And here come the running Rebels back the other way. Here's Hamilton in the lane, little floater, will that roll in? No, tip up and in by Hamilton, follows up his shot again.
Great tip by Hamilton. Being aggressive, and that's what the Rebels are doing. They're matching the aggression of the Tigers. The Tigers are coming out, they're being gritty, they're being aggressive, and the running Rebels are matching it tonight.
4:43 to go first half. Again, the double team. Price Noel had to give up the rock. Justin Moore, he'll cut through, throws up a short floater, and the shot is short. Pulled out by Jaleel Tripp, and the shot clock resetting to 20 seconds. Another opportunity, Tripp. His shot high off the glass, no. And the rebound, and outside, here's Price Noel for 3, and he will fill it up. So that breaks the tie. UOP back on top, 25-22. TJ Otzelberger did not like that defensive series for UNLV.
Yeah, it was ugly all around. We got to forget that one as soon as possible.
Hardy draws the foul.
Gave up multiple offensive rebounds, and then a wide open 3. Running Rebels have to do better than that.
So Amari Hardy, who from the floor tonight, he's 0 for 1, and that shot came from 3-point range. He's got a couple of assists and a couple of turnovers already. And so Hardy will try to get into the scoring column here. Yeah, so that circle motion, UNLV hedging the screens, fighting through them, and then at the top of the circle, Donovan, the double team by UNLV, and most of the time it has been Mbake Jong or it has been Vitaly Sheeble who go out on top with those long arms on the double team, and they're causing a lot of confusion for UOP.
Yeah. And the Rebels are doing a great job, not only hedging that and getting out, but hustling back, rotating, just communicating on the defensive end. So they've done a good job with that so far.
Yeah, they're avoiding a lot of the pin downs down the low block. Hardy makes both free throws. It's a 1-point game. Out of the backcourt, Jaleel Tripp. Tripp in the game, 0 for 3 from the field. And he's the leading scorer for Pacific, yet to score. Finston crossover. Finston off the double team. Swing it left. Price Noel, 3-point range. And that's too long. Here's Hardy. Crossover. Here's Hardy. 3-point range. Lets it fly. Looks short. Is short. Underneath. What a rebound by Mbake Jong. And he throws it away. And that'll lead us to a timeout on the court. Another media timeout. Running Rebels are trailing Pacific in a good one, 25-24. Damon Stoudemire, the head coach of the Pacific Tigers, the first draft pick and the rookie of the year for the Toronto Raptors. Wayback Machine, 1995, although he still looks good.
He's a champ. I actually, you know, he's one of you know, the guys that I looked up to when he played at University of Arizona down in Tucson. You know, him and Khalid Reeves, they had one of the best backcourts in the NCAA, and then obviously went on great NBA career. You know, awesome player, and he's got the same haircut. His hair looks the exact same. All of you know, we've all aged.
He's wearing
he's got the same fade,
gym clothes.
And it's
a 2-on-1 break. Here's Hamilton with the finish. No, he's fouled by Tripp. Tripped up by Jaleel Tripp. Yeah, 14 years in the NBA for Stoudemire.
And we know he can finish up.
There was no foul?
A little foul.
You think? No.
Yeah. He's going to the line.
But Hamilton has definitely improved his game. He started a total of 3 games this season. His dad played at UTEP under the great Don Haskins.
Wow.
The Bear. And his dad was recruited by none other than Tim Floyd. That's who recruited his dad. So his dad knows hoops. That's who introduced Bryce to the game of basketball. And Hamilton, as a sophomore, is improving every time he steps on the court.
Yeah, he's a talented young man. Very talented.
Oh, and the flush with the left hand by McCray. Rebels were sleeping defensively. TJ's not happy about that either. First time we've seen a lot of emotion out of TJ Otzelberger. And there's really nothing that the Rebels, who have a whistle on the drive and a foul. That's just laziness not getting back.
Yeah. And poor communication on that particular play. But he's getting in there, gets the block, foul, he'll go to the free throw line.
Fouls are starting to add up. Jaleel Tripp has 2. McCray has 2. 2 for Austin Vereen off the bench.
Yeah, they have so many guys. You know, I think I counted over 10 guys that have scored in double figures so far this year, the Tigers. And, I mean, you see how they do it. You know, they get 5 in, 5 out. You know, they switch up the defense. And whoever's got it going gets the playing time, and he probably holds them accountable on the defensive end. You know, he demands that they play tough physical defense and that they hustle. That's probably how they earn their playing time.
Remember Kyle Lowry wore Damon Stoudemire's number 20 jersey in the chip, the victory celebration in Toronto? Remember that? He was on the float, yeah. They know who the real OG is there. Here's Tripp. Shot clock down to 7, drives in the lane, goes up, no, gets his own board, no. It is deflected out of there by Tillman, and we've got a hell ball situation. Possession arrow going to University of Pacific. And Stoudemire out there jawing, did not like, he thought his man got hacked in the lane, and there is a disparity in fouls. UOP with 10, the Rebels with 4. He thought his man got butchered, and we see Stoudemire needs to be restrained.
Yeah, I mean they're being physical. It's a physical game out there, and you know that was actually the first time I've seen them get multiple offensive rebounds and trying to get putbacks. So they're starting to wear on the Rebels a little bit, I think, on the inside, and part of that is that depth. But I think Stoudemire wanted to send a message there. You know, sometimes it's good to send a message to the referees. Hey, we're watching. You know, I'm watching. This is, you know, what's going on is not fair in his eyes. You know, so.
2 free throws are made on the technical foul by Amari Hardy. And the inbounds coming in for the Pacific Tigers. Moore to trigger it in. Boy, clear out underneath. He does not see it. They had Amari McCray posted up on the much smaller Marvin Coleman. Coleman was getting eaten alive.
Yeah, McCray is a big guy. He's like a linebacker out there. He's got really good size. And he can move and finish.
Down to 4, 3. More pull-up jumper from 18. That's going to be long. Offensive glass. Austin Vereen. Yes, they do a great job. Pacific rebounding. They just get great position, and they are just very physical.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talked about. You know, limiting. Got to limit them on the offensive boards. You know, they're doing a good job. They're getting second, third chances, and you know that's really going to wear the Rebels down if they don't fix that.
Only 2 free throws for Pacific so far, while the Running Rebels have gone to the line 16 times here in the first half. They lead by 2. Under 2 to go. Long pass, Coleman. He breaks it up. Here's Hardy on the drive, switches hands, lays it up for 2 more. So Hardy's starting to get into his groove on the fast break opportunity. He's got 4. Running Rebel lead is 4.
And great defense by Cole, and able to see man and ball and anticipate where that pass is being thrown.
That's a PBU. That's a pass breakup right there. McCray is getting banged underneath, finally draws the foul on his second shot opportunity. And Baki Jong, that'll be his second personal. And free throws coming up for McCray.
Great finish by Hardy. And again, you know, Marvin Coleman being able to see man ball and move and have his head on the swivel. That's what caused that play.
I'm surprised that McCray is working on the right side because he's more comfortable going left. He's a lefty, and that's where I saw a lot of his shots coming from. And so McCray's first free throw off the mark. So talk about a bad luck story. McCray had to redshirt last season. He had an ACL injury his 4th day on campus. And that was to his left knee. And in high school, he had a right knee ACL injury.
Man, a resilient young man. You know, he got. You know, I had a similar situation. You know, in high school I had knee surgery, and then my freshman year at UNLV, I had back surgery. And you know that's a lot of rehab. That's a lot of time. You know, just trying to get back to game speed and play the game that you love, and that shows a lot of resilience in McCray.
Off the Coleman miss, half-court offense set up by the Pacific Tigers. They trail by 4, and a whistle on Schiebel. So Amari McCray was posting up, and Schiebel just tried to push him and move him out of the way. And again, that's that pin down move where they set that screen down on the low block, and they try to set the screen towards the baseline.
Yeah, I mean,
they've seen it on film though.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of contact on that though. You know, to be honest with you,
they need to now try to balance it out.
He spun on him and tried to post, and Schiebel put a little bit of body on him. But it's been a physical game so far. So now, seems like maybe the officials are trying to make a little bit of an adjustment, maybe get the game under control a little bit as far as the physicality goes.
You said McCray's big. When he arrived, he was 311 pounds on the Stockton campus.
Wow.
He's down to 265. And now he just got a little bit of an arch there on his free throws, and he makes both of those, and it's a 2-point game. So the Rebels do not want to go trailing at the break here. They don't want to go into the locker room down, since they've battled back and forth. Spin move. Here's Hardy. Off glass for two. He just ate his man alive. Man, Austin Vereen got caught in the spin cycle.
Yeah, it was like a blender. You're talking about hesitation, crossover, spin move. A lot going on with Hamilton. He's got a lot of moves.
Trip up top. McCray had it. McCray down the low block, started to move and moved his feet. He shuffled them with 18.3 to go. So the running Rebels with the 4-point lead, they'll try to add to that, and they'll hold it for the final shot. I like to see a good confidence boost. Might be a Hardy 3-point attempt if it comes within the flow of the offense.
Yeah.
So the clock is down to 8. Here's Hardy. He'll work against Moore. 5 down to 4. Dribble drive, penetration, up with the left hand and in. Well, that's just as good, and the running Rebels extend the lead to their largest advantage at the break, 6 points for UNLV.
Good call and good finish by Hardy. You know, they ran a little isolation play there, and he's able to, you know, he likes to go left, but he can go right as well. So he's able to dribble really hard to the right and finish on the left side of the basket. So good move by Hardy, and a great send-off for the running Rebels at the half.
A balanced score sheet, Donovan, for UNLV. Nick Blair and Amari Hardy with 8 apiece. 6 for Mbake Jong, 6 for Bryce Hamilton. You've got 4 for Coleman and 3 for Donnie Tillman off the bench. Tillman with a couple of personal fouls, as does Mbake Jong. Jaleel Tripp says, thanks for highlighting me, folks. 0 for 5 from the floor.
Yeah,
so he's struggling.
He's struggling. He's had a hard time getting into the flow. You know, but they play so many guys that, you know, it's like 5 in, 5 out. You know, but the Rebels have keyed in on him, I think, and they're giving him a little bit of space on the perimeter, and they're able to move their feet and cut him off, you know, as he's trying to slash and get to the basket. He hasn't gotten to the free throw line a whole lot, which, you know, if he can get to the free throw line, that'll probably get him going. But Rebels have done a good job on Jaleel Tripp.
Justin Moore has 10 points for the Tigers and 6 points for Amari McCray. Those are the leading scorers for UOP, and the running Rebels in that first half, Donovan, they shot 40% on 10 out of 25. Pacific 11 for 26 and 42%. And it's going to be a grind them out sort of a game in the second half.
Oh man, it's going to be this has been a really good game, and I think it's going to continue to be a back and forth game, a chess match, if you will. You know, the depth of the Tigers. You know, UNLV's actually, you know, they've got a lot of depth as well. They're showing a lot of depth tonight, playing a lot of guys and giving a lot of guys opportunity. But a good balanced attack by the running Rebels, and they're hanging in there, making adjustments. You know, trying a variety of things and sticking with what works. You know, for a period of time. So. Not seeing a lot of great letdowns from the running Rebel. I know we keep saying that, man, another letdown. I think they did a really good job this half of you know, having a slip here or there, but then being able to recover and make up for it.
Yeah, trying to stay consistent. UNLV in that first half had the 4-minute drought, but then from that point on, they stayed consistent within the flow of the game after TJ Otzelberger chewed him out a couple of times on a couple of not very effective possessions.
Yeah.
And UNLV defensively, though, I think that has really been, the mark of this Rebel team in the first half. I'm more impressed with the Rebels on the defensive end than I am with them in scoring points, although you got to score. And a 35-point half, that's been a rarity for UNLV this season.
Yeah. Yeah, they've. You're right, 100%. Defensive end. I think, you know, limiting their offensive rebounds. You know, uh, they
Yeah, that guy just buried the three-point shot.
nice
He
shot
used to
from
win
half court.
I mean, the half-court shot, but he had the layup, the three-pointer, and the
Wow.
half-court shot.
What does he
makes
win?
that. Used to be a car, no? Not
Yeah, he's
anymore.
got the Finley Toyota going on, so maybe it's a car. But the running Rebels, yeah, excellent job on the defensive end. You know, I'm watching the rebounds though, and how many offensive rebounds they're getting, and how many times they're able to score. You know, the Tigers are able to score, you know, off of offensive rebounds. And I think they've done a good job of limiting that. Although they've given up some offensive boards, you know, those scoring opportunities they've been able to limit.
Yeah, they just can't get lazy defensively, and actually UNLV leading the rebounding department at halftime, 16-15 in favor of UNLV. We are going to step aside. We are at halftime here at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. I'm Tony Cardasco, Donovan Stewart alongside, and at the break, UNLV is leading the University of Pacific by a score of 35-29. Don't go away. We've got second half action on the way. We welcome you back to the Thomas & Mack Center here in Las Vegas. Running Rebels with a 35-29 lead at the break. And some of the highlights, Donovan, from that first half.
Yeah, Amari Hardy finding people. He finds Nick Blair there for the three. Nick Blair got off to a really good start. Was able to get some really good buckets on the inside and the outside. And there's Amari Hardy again. Great interior passing with Mbake John with the finish. And then Tillman with the spin cycle finishing with the left. Oh, that was a really good play. Marvin Coleman. And Hamilton with the tip. Lots of highlights. There's Amari Hardy off of the Marvin Coleman steal and tip. And then the spin cycle. Bryce Hamilton putting him in the spin, the blender. And then they finished off the half with Amari Hardy. Really good attack to the left and finish.
You know, UNLV as a team 0 for 8, 2 for 2 for Nick Blair from behind the arc tonight. So 2 for 10 overall.
I told you it's
winter
break.
It's winter break.
It's winter break.
Well,
no more class. He's not worried about class. He's
right.
Not,
yes, but
he's got family in town. You know, it's a reset right here. He's shooting 100% from three-point line.
My winter break, I go into hibernation. What are some of the keys for the second half?
You know, I think the Running Rebels have to, continue to. Establish that identity on the defensive end. You know, we've seen a mix of defenses from them, and and they've been effective. Really good rotations, really good communication, and then finishing off with a rebound. And when they gave up some offensive rebounds, they were able to, they were able to limit those offensive rebounds and limit the scoring opportunities from those offensive rebounds. You know, when you combine that with taking care of the ball. The Rebels, I think they're probably averaging around 15 turnovers a game this year. They're on pace for about 12 this game. So when they take care of the ball and they defend, they could be a really good basketball team. And they're facing a really good basketball team in the Pacific Tigers. So they need to maintain that for the second half, and I think they'll be happy with the result.
UNLV 32-9 in the series with their advantage. They won 26 straight from 1973 to 1993, almost a couple of automatic wins. I hate to say for UOP fans during the Tarkanian era, but they just couldn't match up with the athletes of the Running Rebels back then.
Yeah, there were a lot of teams that couldn't match up with the athletes of the Running Rebels back then. I mean, you're talking about some of the best teams ever. So
Jonah Antonio lets it fly from three-point range, and he connects his first three-pointer. Welcome back, Jonah Antonio. I could see that coming, man.
Yeah. He can really shoot the ball, and it's good to see one go down for him. It's good to see, he can really space the floor for the Running Rebels, and it makes UNLV a different team. It adds another dimension to the team when he's out there.
38-29, Running Rebel advantage. Look at the swivel inside. Here's McCray, nice move underneath, lay it up, no. Rolls around, offensive glass, and the layup for two underneath the basket. And that was Brock Finston. Finston could play pretty well inside or out. Yeah, and sometimes they even have him bring the basketball up the court.
Yeah, they have a lot of versatile guards, and obviously their depth and their versatility can create a lot of problems.
Hardy got jammed up by Amari McCray. It took one, I think, took an elbow to the head. That'll be the third personal foul against Amari McCray.
And he's just a physical guy. I mean, you can't help but put an elbow on somebody here or there when you're McCray.
The other big guy's got two. Hampshire. He also had 3 blocks in that first half. 7-1, three-pointer on the way. Here's Amari Hardy. That goes off the rim, and the rebound to Tripp. Tripp of UOP. So Tripp 0 for 6 in the game now.
Yeah, he's probably going to try to get it going real early, maybe be a little bit aggressive.
Finston backing down Amari Hardy. Whistle on Hardy. We don't want this to become a free throw shooting contest.
Well, I think the referees are just trying to get things under control. They realize that the physicality of the players and they were getting a little feisty in the first half. So they're going to try to send that message early.
Nice inbounds pass, and that shot underneath by Vereen. It hit underneath the basket, runs into Zhang, and UNLV battling underneath the boards. And we've got a held ball and possession arrow going the same way for UOP. It's getting physical inside.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was Nick Blair who tied up Mbake Zhang.
He goes down.
And they're going to talk to Marvin Coleman.
He's just putting his arm on him.
Yeah, he's putting his arm on Tripp.
And I guess you can't touch players these days. That's I mean,
a lot of traffic underneath the basket. They finally, yes, they do get it inbounds to Jabril Price Noel. And now it's Justin Moore and Moore on the reset. Got a little sloppy there for Pacific. Cross court, Vereen, and then deep in the corner, Price Noel. Tripp up top. 3-point range. Here's Justin Moore. Tripp lets it fly from 3-point range. From distance, no. He's 0 for 7 from the field. And Amari Hardy back the other way. Nice cross. Back to Blair. Coleman to slow it down. Antonio was calling for the ball. He's behind the arc on the angle on the right side. Whistle and foul on the drive as Amari Hardy was going to the basket. Rebels lead by 7. This is not the type of game I thought we would see, to be honest with you. I thought by now UNLV might be playing catch-up because Pacific, the hot team, they won 5 straight. They've been hitting on all cylinders. And the Rudden Rebels come off of that BYU loss in a game that they only scored 50 points. 50.
Yeah.
They're almost there tonight.
Well, they're benefiting from that rest time. I mean, they're definitely refreshed. They're excited. They had
Coleman in traffic. Hardy lets it fly. That's going to be, a shot clock infraction against UNLV, and the turnover. Hardy just had to chuck it up because Coleman did not see the clock.
Yeah.
The clock was down to 5 seconds, and he still hadn't seen it. And you might have heard the crowd getting restless.
Yeah. You gotta, especially being the point guard, you gotta recognize the clock and be able to make a quick decision there. But the Running Rebels, they've had some time off. They've been able to, they've got finals out of the way. They're well rested, and they had
Austin Vereen off the miss. Tripp
had some good practice time, and
Moore for 3, and he'll connect.
He's actually the one that kind of kept the Tigers in the first half, and he's continuing to have the hot hand for the Tigers.
13 points now, 3 out of 4. Here's Coleman. Coleman was looking for a cutter, instead goes back up top to Hardy. Hardy, you sense, might be a little frustrated from that last possession. He'll get the screen up top, drives through traffic, goes up off glass. Will it stick? No. He'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah. Tripp tried to get in there and get that charge, but a little too slow moving in. Splitting the defense. Yeah. A little too slow getting there. Amari Hardy will shoot 2.
So Hardy will go to the free throw line. 3 times this season, he has scored 20 points. Kansas State game 27, 25 against Abilene Christian, 20 against Jackson State. Misses the free throw. And Hardy at the free throw line, that's his first miss on the night. He's 2 out of 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from distance. Jeremiah Bailey checks in for Pacific. And I remember Bailey from last year. He had a horrible night shooting here at the Thomas & Mack. He was like 1 for 9 from the floor. 5-point lead for your Running Rebels. 16 plus to go. It was Noel, and back up top, Austin Vereen. Moore, the hot hand, with 13 points. They get it to Moore. He's got a screen. He lets it fly. 3-point range. Doesn't even get rim. Comes off the block. And Coleman now to try to set up offense for UNLV. Rebels, a 5-point lead plus the ball. Blair, down the low block. The entry pass. Swiveling, it's Zhang. He double dribbled. You can't do that.
Yeah, just indecisive on that play for Mbake. good set play there. They wanted to get him the ball on the inside, and you know, he kind of got, you know, just confused with what he wanted to do. Did he want to do a jump hook? Did he want to turn around and shoot the jump shot? And, you know, turnover.
Up top, Bailey. And the handoff, Jabril, Price, Noel. Moore. Price, Moore. That's going to come up short. Tapped around in the lane. And it's pulled down by Bailey. Bailey in the corner. Bailey gives it up. Coleman is going to have his hands full here with Justin Moore. He backs it out. Timer down to 8, down to 7. He couldn't get a handle on the ball. Crosses it over. Bailey, three-point range, line drive. Just glances the iron. And Baki John gets fouled in the backcourt by Austin Vereen. And that'll lead us to our first media break here in the second half. Running Rebels with a 5-point advantage, 15:28 to go. The Pacific Tigers just 1 out of their last 7 field goal attempts. Running Rebels will have the ball and a 5-point lead. Could be a pivotal point in this game, Donovan. UNLV will try to extend the lead, and especially when a team goes cold and you're here on your home court, try to intensify things if you're UNLV.
Well, I mean, I think for the second half, it's been an ugly game so far for both teams, and you know, I mean, when it's a grind and you're pushing and trying to make some progress, it's important to not allow the other team to score. It's important to make it ugly for both teams. So the Rebels, you know, it's been an ugly start, but
we got a whistle and an offensive foul on Donnie Tillman.
And they're still playing.
They blew the play dead. The Pacific just wanted the run. Moore's like, we've got the advantage. Let's go. Transition hoops.
Yeah.
So a foul will go against Tillman. So on Donnie Tillman now, it should be his third. They have him down for 2. They've got 3 on Mbake John. It was on John. Didn't see it. Up top, here's Jeremiah Bailey. The give to Moore. Moore, off balance shot. Nice defense for UNLV. Marvin Coleman, who also gets the rebound. And now to Hardy. The Rebels just playing slow down basketball and trying to get things set up in the half court. Screen in the roll, they try to get it to Shebel, and the pass was deflected away. Moore once again behind the back with the dribble. Passing up the shot out there was Austin Vereen, who had a wide open look at a 3. Damon Stoudemire is trying to direct his team to go towards the right. Javician had it. Over to Bailey. They try to spring Javician. 3-pointer swish. That was a design play.
Yeah.
And again, the pin down screen on the baseline. Circle motion to the top of the lane. And Javician drills the 3. It's a 2-point game.
Yeah,
Wide open look here for Amari Hardy for 2. 41-37, running Rebels. Long way to go at the Thomas and Mack. Austin Vereen gave it off to Moore. Tillman tripped going around a screen. Lost his man Vereen momentarily. And Moore on the right side of the angle. Here's Schiebel up top. Ball hawking. Javician backing down Hardy. 3 on the shot clock. 2-1. Moore lets it fly. Doesn't even get rim.
Great defense.
And another shot clock violation against UOP.
Great defense by the running Rebels.
It's encouraging, right, to see UNLV with a lot of these stops, and that's about the third, I think, shot clock violation we've seen.
Yeah, and I think that has to be their identity. They have to have their identity on the defensive end. This has to be a defensive-minded team first, and those types of possessions pay dividends, So great possession by the running Rebels.
9th turnover for the University of Pacific Tigers. Here's Tillman behind the back with the dribble. The deflection up top by Javician. Coleman had it. 14 on the shot clock. And Hardy. Hardy gets the high screen. He's going to do the stutter step move underneath. Leaves it off for Blair. Blair, difficult time, cannot gather. And the running Rebels now with their 9th turnover of this game. Javician, three-pointer again, swish! Don't get him in the zone. The Idaho State transfer, Gary Javician, and he's heating up.
They have a lot of guys that can light it up from outside, and Javician is certainly one of them. They were able to get him off a set play, and then that was just a catch and shoot off the wing. You can't give him any space.
Rebels going through that funk again. Crossover Hardy, reach and foul, and they will get Pierre Crockrell, the freshman. 9 points in the game now for Gary Javician.
And all from 3. So at this point, so everyone knows that. We all know that. Running Rebels have got to push up on him and force him to put the ball on the floor and make something happen off the dribble.
1 point lead on this mini spurt by Pacific. Rebels led by 6 points at halftime. Hamilton nowhere to go now, gives it off to Tillman. Give and go, Tillman underneath. Tillman with a jump stop, lay it up for 2 with the right hand.
And great pass by Amari Hardy. He's really looking to get his teammates involved. He gets a lot of double teams and off those screens and is able to dump it down and make a good decision off the
Good
ball.
Battle between Javician and Hardy. And Hardy's just shadowing him as he tries to circle around on the perimeter. It's Crockrell. His little floater, no good. Rebound is pulled by UNLV, by Bryce Hamilton. Rebels back the other way. Coleman gives it off to Blair. Here's Hardy. Hardy again between the legs. Tillman up top. Hardy's looking for someone to go to the basket. He pointed towards Tillman, said go to the hole. Three-pointer, Blair! Oh, halfway down and out. Nick Blair already with a couple of triples in this game. 3-point running Rebel lead. Pierre Crockrell, the third, I might add, from Tacoma, Washington. High bounce by Vereen. Now Hamilton switches on Javician, and he just hacked him. He just hacked him up top. We'll get another timeout. Second media timeout of the half. 11:21 remains. It's a good one here with the Thomas and Mack. Running Rebels with a 3-point lead. in the second half. University of Pacific 4 for 14 from the field, and UNLV just 3 out of 6. So UNLV not getting a lot of shot opportunities thus far in the second half of the game, Donovan. But they are making half of their shots.
Yeah, it's been a rough, kind of ugly second half. Looks like, I mean, the Running Rebels are shooting about 20% from the three-point line. They just got to continue to move the ball around and try to get open shots. Try to get good open shots from the three-point line, and those shots will fall.
Javicia now guarded by Jonah Antonio. He's got 3 triples in the game. Up top, Jeremiah Bailey. And then Austin Vereen on the wing on the left side. Double screen for Javicia, came around. 3 seconds, 2, lets it fly. That's going to be short. Rebound to Donnie Tillman.
Excellent defense by Jonah on that one. You know, he ran off the screen, came off the screen, up, and then Jonah
for 3. No, outside. Coleman, Donnie Tillman in the lane, gave it off. Hamilton had a 3. Now he's going to try to slice inside. Tillman won't pass up a 3-point attempt. That's off the mark. And the rebound comes down to Shaquille Fritz of UOP. Behind the back, fading away, Crockrell, and that'll roll in. Pierre Crockrell, he's going to have quite a career. You just have the feeling.
Yeah.
He's a good spark, had 10 points in the first half in the game against Northridge a couple of nights ago.
And that was
1-point lead for UNLV. Hamilton wide open, look at a 3-pointer. No, can't drain it. Jeremiah Bailey cleans. Crockrell.
Stop the ball.
He just lobs it up underneath. Fritz, layup attempt. No, off the iron. Comes back out. Crockrell. Oh, no, look, pass underneath. And the finish by Shaquille Fritz. Wow. Are you kidding me?
Just not now the Rebels, poor communication in that transition sequence there, not calling out man, who stopped the ball, you know, and that was a rough defensive possession.
Antonio, touch pass, Blair, 3-pointer, ring that baby up. Third 3-pointer for Nick Blair.
What did I tell you, Tony?
Off the mitts, Javici, an offensive board, outside, and that's Vereen drills the 3. All of a sudden, we've got an offensive explosion at the MAC. UOP back on top by 1. Around the curl. Hamilton spin move in the lane, runs out of space, travels. You could see that coming.
Yeah.
How about Bailey? Was Bailey signaling for a first down or what?
For Hamilton, that's one of those things where you just have to kind of recognize what's in front of you. Sometimes he's so aggressive and just puts his head down and attacks the basket. But if he would have looked up, he would have saw. But the defense was set. There were 4 guys in the lane already, which made it difficult for him.
So the inbounds, and here we go again. Crockrell. He's been the catalyst for this UOP comeback of sorts. To Austin Vereen. High post Fritz almost has it taken away by Hardy. And he'll shovel it back out to Crockrell. Plenty of time on the timer. They have that chemistry going on, Crockrell and Fritz. Here's the dribble penetration, high off the glass. No, follow-up slam dunk by Fritz. Wow. Are you kidding me? They were motioning to each other. You could just see the eye connection there between the two. 3-point Pacific lead.
And Crockrell just thought he had an advantage there. He just kind of slowed it down and said, you know what, I can beat this guy off the dribble, and was able to get to the basket.
Here's Hardy. Hardy blanked from behind the arc today. Off the double team. There's Tillman. 7 on the shot clock. Hardy around the big Mbake screen, driving all the way to the hoop, throws it up and gets fouled. He drew the foul inside. Austin Vereen, I think, will get charged with the personal. And it will be on Vereen. But Hardy just ran out of time.
Yeah, and that's what he needs. Great, good in and out, jump stop, and is able to get to the basket.
No foul there. The ball hit the underarm of Austin Vereen. Well, truth? Hashtag truth?
Sometimes you gotta sell it.
So Hardy good on the first free throw.
He was able to sell it, get to the free throw line, and that's just what he needs for a guy who shoots the ball typically pretty good from outside. get into a rhythm, get to the free throw line, get a few layups in. You know, that's good step for him.
Both free throws were good for Hardy. And now with 8 minutes to go, Rebels are trailing by 1. Crockrell around the screen, and the curl up top, it was Chavichian. Fans yelling defense. Crockrell's going to work on Antonio. Penetration, fading away with that little, jump hook, the mini hook for 2.
Yeah.
What else does this kid have in his arsenal?
He's quick, man. He's quick, and he's got a series of shots. The runner, you know, he could finish with the left and the right, and there's Hardy.
And there's Hardy with the kneel finish. It pops out.
Wow.
6 points for Crockrell off the bench. 51-48, Rebels are trailing. And boy, you'd think that Damon Stoudemire's working a lot with this kid on his ball handling skills and seeing the court. A freshman.
Well,
he's got nothing but guards on this team.
And he's learning from the best.
Oh, he picks it up off the floor. It was kicked around, pinball around, 3-point on the way, Vereen, and that's gonna miss. Shebo with the rebound. Hardy says, let's slow this down. Let's get into the set offense. High screen being set by Mbake. UNLV they'd like right now to have Hardy drill a 3 is what they'd like, but they'll take it in the lane, and tripped up by Crockrell. And that'll be the 17th foul on UOP. 1-1 coming up for the Rebels from this point forward. Rebels go to the free throw line. Amari Hardy will be there when we return. Pacific leading the Rebels by 3. Well, the second half of this game has almost turned into a football contest. I'd like to, at this point, myself and Donovan, as alums of UNLV, would like to welcome Marcus Arroyo, the new UNLV football head coach, former offensive coordinator at the University of Oregon. Looking forward to some great things with the new Fertitta complex, and next year, next season, the Runnin' Rebels will make their home at the new Allegiant Stadium. You like that tie-in with football?
It's amazing. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for UNLV football. I'm really excited for the Raiders to come here to town. It's you know, Las Vegas is a wonderful place, beautiful community, and we've got some really cool things happening here.
Hardy thus far, 7 out of 8 from the free throw line, 1-1. He'll earn the bonus. 14 points now for Hardy, who averages 17, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds per game at the free throw line this season. He's averaging 77%, and he's also averaging 38 minutes, so he's one of those players that needed a little load management during the break.
Yeah, he's the most valuable, man. He's such a talented player, and you know, obviously the UNLV Runnin' Rebels leading scorer. You know, but they're making him. The Tigers are making him earn every point tonight. You know, they're physical with him. They're pushing. And
ball's thrown to no one, and the steal by Mbake John. Another turnover for UOP. That is their 10th on the night. Here's Hardy. The high dribble. Jong up top. Don't be chucking up threes. Here's Tillman, free throw line jumper. That's going to be long. Will he get the roll? No, it bounces over the top of the backboard and out of play. During the break, I might add that TJ Otzelberger said that he spent a lot of time with the Runnin' Rebels working against the zone, working against presses, and UNLV worked itself on zone and presses. And so they utilized all that time off, the 11 days for the Runnin' Rebels, to kind of go back to fundamentals, if you will.
Yeah. And that was good for him. I mean, it's a different game. You pass differently. You do things differently when you're facing a zone.
Deep in the corner, Bailey for three, and he rolls it in. The shot clock was expiring. It was down to 1, down to 0. 4-point lead again for UOP. Tillman gives it up to Blair. One dribble and up top to Hardy. Under 5.5 remaining from the Thomas and Mack. It's been an entertaining game. Three-pointer on the way. Hardy just draws the iron. Again, he was leaning in and might have been deflected a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like a knuckleball three-point shot attempt.
Tough shot, kind of a little bit rushed. And unfortunately the Rebels aren't shooting the ball that well from three. So to take that shot, it was just a tough shot.
And that's going to be a tie-up situation. Possession arrow goes to UNLV. So the Rebels get the basketball back, trailing by 4. Under 5 minutes to go here. Jaleel Tripp, by the way, the leading scorer for Pacific, 0 for 6, 0 for 1 from three-point range. How about this? He went to South Plain College. That's where Jonah Antonio went, but I think Antonio was a year behind Tripp. Off the deflection up top. Here's Hardy. He went back for Blair, stolen away by Justin Moore. Moore goes up, off the glass, lays it up, and one. The foul, Bryce Hamilton. This one could get away.
Yeah. And really just turnovers, careless turnovers. Got to take care of the ball, got to limit those turnovers. We were able to do that in the first half, but so far this ugly game has turned into turnovers, which is now leading into transition baskets. So Rebels got to get this under control.
You know what we call that foul on Hamilton? Tailgating. It's a tailgating foul.
Tailgating. Well, I mean, that kind of foul, you kind of want to, you don't want to hurt the player. He's out ahead of you, but you want to try to
give up
really,
the bucket.
you really want to try to swipe at that ball and get a good swipe at the ball, and maybe even not allow the player to bring his hands up too high to get the and one.
Moore now with 16 points, 7-point lead. UNLV has to make a bucket here. There's Hamilton, his little floater in the key, and he connects. That's good. And 8 points now for Bryce Hamilton. So he gets 2 of the 3 back himself. 4:20 to go. Here's Moore. And Crockrell had fallen down. He got up, handling the basketball at the head of the circle. Jaleel Tripp. And now Bailey. Bailey pull up. That's a 2-point attempt. No. Rebound underneath. Bryce Hamilton of the Runnin' Rebels.
And good defense,
by the way. Fourth rebound.
Yeah.
Here's Hamilton trying to fight off his man. His little pull-up, left side of the elbow, and off the shot, the miss. And this is where Pacific, what we were talking about, they will not allow those second chance opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing a good job limiting the Rebels to one shot. Rebels got to do the same on the defensive end.
There's Moore off the double team. Tripp was wide open. Now Tripp in the lane. Spin move. Goes up high off the glass. Draws the foul on Tillman. And that'll lead us to our final timeout. There was just 7 seconds left on the shot clock. And Tillman now in foul trouble for UNLV as he picks up his 3rd personal on the night. Timeout on the court. Runnin' Rebels are trailing 57-52. We've got 3:25 remaining. Don't go away. For a rare occasion, Pacific will go to the free throw line. UNLV 21 free throws on the night to 7 for UOP. Yet the Running Rebels are trailing in the game 57-52. Welcome back to the Thomas and Mack Center. UNLV needs to go on a late spurt to pull this game out. Rebels just won for their last 6. 1 out of their last 6. Justin Moore's been on fire. Moore's made 3 out of his last 4 field goal attempts and has 16 points for Pacific. And Tripp will try to get off the schneid right here. He hasn't scored tonight.
Yeah.
Jaleel Tripp averaging 13 a game. And hits the front of the iron and rolls in. WCC honorable mention last season, and preseason all WCC.
Say that's what they are, though. They're a team of depth where you know they have 10 guys that could score in double figures in any given night. So tonight wasn't Tripp's night, but you know obviously Moore and some of the other guys have been able to step up.
Tripp played a lot of minutes last year, averaged 38. Tillman has the ball raked away by Bailey from behind. He went with the pump move, and now they're going to run some clock. Crockrell up top. Hardy will come in, probably for Tillman at the next break. Tillman with 3 personal fouls, 4 apiece for UOP's Tripp and Vereen. Timer's down to 9, down to 8. Crockrell up top. He'll work against Hamilton, driving the lane. Oh, whistle and a foul will go against Bryce Hamilton. 2:43 remaining. And UNLV had better get something started on the offensive end because they're running out of possession time.
Yeah. And he can really get in the lane and penetrate and wreak havoc. You know, he's got a lot of good dribble moves. You know, and it's been a challenge for the Rebels.
Say that was on the floor. It's a 16 foul for UNLV.
Up.
Oh, Tillman just turns around and snatches the inbound pass off the turnover. That'll be the 12th turnover on UOP. Here's Tillman. He'll try not to force it. Outside, Blair. Ball fake. And might have traveled. He did. He just was sliding around before he could deliver the pass back to Tillman. They need Hardy to handle the rock in that situation.
But six turnovers in the first half for the Running Rebels, and now they're up to 15 with 2 minutes left to go.
Again, I asked this question: when do you start fouling? We'll keep it right here. When do you start fouling? If you're UNLV, with 2.5 to go.
You know, I mean, you could right now, but
they're down 7.
Yeah,
break the timeline and then try to put some pressure. And again, that would be the 17th foul, next foul on UNLV. And then you just try to play, again, that game where you outscore them 2-1, 2-0, 3-2 down the stretch. And for UNLV, we don't know if Pacific will make front ends of 1-1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would be really selective who I foul right now. You know, obviously you want to know who their really good free throw shooters are. But then, you know, as the time goes on, you got to foul anybody. But you know, for me, it's just one possession at a time. You know, how can we maximize this possession? How can we get a stop and a quick score? You know, but yeah, if you're playing aggressive and you foul someone, then you foul someone. You know, but if they're going to foul, you know, they have to know exactly who those free throw shooters are that are going to give up that 1-1 and get them on the other end. You know, give them an opportunity to score on the offensive end.
This Pacific team is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough out in the West Coast Conference. The traditional powerhouses, you've got Gonzaga, you've got St. Mary's, and now BYU enters the fray. So Gonzaga plays 7 conference opponents twice, but UOP will only face them 1 time as a scheduling quirk. And Gonzaga just plays UOP and the University of Portland 1 time. It is a 16-game schedule. This is the 2nd season where they're doing this with 16 games. And they say the conference leaders are saying that they could get more at-large berths by playing a shorter conference schedule, if that makes any sense. While in the Mountain West, they're trying to expand from 16 to 18 games. Yeah, I would only want to play UOP once if I'm Gonzaga, and play them up there. Play them on your home court if you're the Zags. Yeah, they're going to be a tough out.
Absolutely.
Very talented. They've got a good mixture, great blend of youth and experience. And the young guys just don't care.
Yeah.
They just play with abandon.
Yeah. I like their strategy of, that 5 in, 5 out, I mean, Bailey had a good second half. I don't remember seeing him in the first half. It's like they have guys that just keep coming at you. So a good, well-rounded team.
They get it out to Moore after they broke the timeline. And the worst thing the Rebels could do is foul late in the shot clock. Crockrell, 10 on the timer. Works on Hardy. Dribble penetration, goes up with that little jump hook and scores and flexes. My.
Yeah.
9-point lead for Pacific. 1:54 to go. Hardy runs into Crockrell. Amari Hardy goes back to the free throw line. They're going to need some late night magic from, Amari Hardy's 0 for 6 from behind the arc tonight. Did you know that?
Yes, because he hasn't gotten too many openings. When you're handling the ball and coming off screens and they're jamming him up or doubling, it makes it a challenge. I think he's only received one opportunity off of a penetration and pitch where he had one open shot. But other than that, he's taken some really tough shots.
So Crockrell's just going to eat clock. Shot clock is down to 15. Thought they were going to try to get Bailey to cut. And there's the dribble penetration trip and one. The bucket and the foul. And Pacific now leads by 11. A free throw upcoming. UNLV's gone scoreless for the last 3:04.
Yeah, and it's tough because they're allowing them to, then now dribble out the clock and then go one-on-one and then get to the free throw line for an and one. Really tough way to end.
So Tripp, that's his first field goal of the night. He now has 5 points. There's Hamilton. He'll pull up inside the arc, and he drills that 17-footer. And it's a 10-point game. 1:12 to go. Good pressure in the backcourt. Moore, they get it cross court. Bailey.
The tip.
And the deflection, it gets across the timeline, and a foul on UNLV's Nick Blair with 1:02 to go. You see a lot of free throws here in the last minute, too.
There's Hamilton. Great hesitation play, pull up. He's got that in his game as well.
So Bailey goes to the line, shooting the 1-and-1. Saw the Hawaii game. He missed his first 5 3-point attempts and then made his 6th. So he's very persistent. But that Hawaii game too, though, it was a 1-point contest late in the final second, 7.2 to go. And Pacific called a timeout. They had no timeouts remaining.
Oh, wow.
And they wound up losing that game. They were trailing 68-67. Off the miss, Rebels have a chance. There's Coleman out of the backcourt. Coleman's going to try to take it all the way inside. Goes up off the glass for another quick 2. And the lead down to 8. See what I'm talking about with fouling. Try to get them to miss the front end. Here's Bailey. He's going to take it all the way, and he'll just finger roll it in. 66-56. Crossover, and the pull-up again by Hamilton. This one rattles out. Quick foul by Tillman. Yeah, they called the timeout. They had none remaining, and that cost the team. We'll be back here at the Thomas & Mack Saturday afternoon. A very rare 12 o'clock noon tip-off. The next 2 games. This Saturday, then the following week against Eastern Michigan also will be a noon start.
I remember playing against Eastern Michigan back when they had. Do you remember Earl Boykins?
Yeah, the little tiny guard.
Yeah. I remember trying to guard him.
Three-pointer, Hamilton, and you could ring up that triple. So Hamilton has come up hot late. 34.4 to go. Rebels trailing by 7.
Yep. Marvin Coleman, good penetration, pitch, and Hamilton's feeling it late.
You know what I like about what I saw right there in the last 2 or 3 possessions? Coleman being aggressive, penetrating, no hesitation in his game, right? And then kicking it outside, kicking it to the open man.
Yeah. He's a true floor general. He makes good decisions with the ball. I know he struggled with his outside shooting, but he's really a good decision maker when it comes down to it. You know, he's only a sophomore. This is his second year, and it's good to see him get an opportunity to get out there on the floor.
UNLV is going to have to foul quickly. You don't want to foul Tripp, although he missed his last free throw on the front end. Moore is a good free thrower. And they'll get it into Moore. And now the Rebels going to try to chase him down. Tillman ball hawking. And that'll be the 5th foul on Donnie Tillman. So Tillman fouls out with 31 seconds remaining. Let's see what Moore could do at the free throw line. Leading scorer with 16.
Yeah. He's pretty good from the three-point line. Well, he's at least been that way tonight.
A 3-star recruit out of Mission Bay High School, San Diego, went to Georgia Tech originally. He played 34 games at Georgia Tech, 18 starts his freshman year. Makes good on the first free throw and earns the bonus. That's actually the 10th foul, so it's 2 free throws. And yeah, he went to the NIT in New York with the Yellow Jackets. They lost to TCU in New York. And that free throw is good.
Yeah.
And we'll get a timeout for Pacific, and we'll keep it here.
Well,
Rebels trailing by 9, 31 seconds to go.
Yeah, but Moore, he's a talented guard. You know, he's got good height at I believe 6'4". You know, shoots the ball well from deep, and also penetrate, finish around the basket. So he's a really good player for the Tigers.
You know, I worked a UNLV football game in Stockton at UOP back in the 90s. It was an odd combination. I know people call us the odd couple, Donovan, but I was the play-by-play guy with then athletic director Jim Weaver. And Jim Weaver was my color analyst. And he made some critical calls during the game. You know, Jim Strong was the head football coach. But on December the 19th of 1995, they disbanded football there at UOP. So now they're just a basketball school. But some of the greats, John Gruden was there, Hugh Jackson, those 2 guys were in the same office. Blair, pump fake, Blair pulls it back, 3-pointer. So Blair connects once again, and Blair in the game now with 14 points. It's a 6-point game, 2-possession game, and another timeout for Damon Stoudemire. Yeah, I worked the football game up there with the AD. And I was like, are you going to be honest, or how are we going to approach this? It was great. And they had a small, press box there up in Stockton. But Chuck Shelton was a coach there. Pete Carroll, a lot of folks know him. Amos Alonzo Stagg started his career there at Pacific. They had a great tradition, but not a great program, per se. But, yeah, Hugh Jackson and John Gruden shared the same office. They were both assistant coaches when I called the game up there.
Wow. A lot of big names.
Yeah, well, but I also put a football program out of business up there. So,
you take responsibility for that?
Yeah, that's it. You're working with the AD on the air, no more. So let's see if UNLV can get the ball back. It's a 2-possession game. They look for more, and they bounce it in, and then a quick foul by Hardy on Moore. Now you just have to make your free throws if you're UOP.
Yeah. Yeah, make your free throws. That's kind of the routine at this time. Make your free throws, play, get back and play good defense. Running Rebels are obviously hoping for a quick quick 2 or quick 3, and a quick steal.
Well, I like how UNLV is attempting to close out the game.
Well, you don't want to. You definitely don't want to pack up and quit. So you want to play till the end and fight till the end and give it all you got all the way through. So that's what the Running Rebels are doing. They're full court press, switching everything, seeing if they can get tips, seeing if they can get steals, see if they can make something happen.
20 in the game for Moore. Hardy coast to coast, lay in 2. 14.6 to go. 70-64. Moore is fouled from behind by Hardy. Good hustle by Amari. That'll be his 3rd personal foul. Tillman fouled out of the game with 5 points. Hardy has 17. 14 for Nick Blair. 5 out of 6 from the floor, 4 out of 5 from three-point range. 13 for Bryce Hamilton, the leading scorers. And Moore looking to add to his 20-point night. I mean, this guy played in the ACC every night.
Yeah.
So he knows, he's got that grit, right, and that determination. He knows competition.
Yeah. No, he's been a tough, and I watched him in their last game. He had a good game as well, and he's just a tough cover. 6'4".
Hardy again, layup for 2. 7 seconds now left. The inbound. Javician gets fouled from behind. Javician, he left Idaho State, the transfer, when their coach got fired. So their coach got fired. I think it was Don Verlin, who was at Idaho State. He got fired at the end of last season, and then the senior grad transfer, Javician, wound up in Stockton, of all places. Grew up in Hollywood, California. Javician good on the first free throw attempt.
He was a good momentum player, I think, for the Tigers tonight. First half, coming off the screen and hitting that three-pointer, that deep three-pointer from the top of the key, and then the second half had a couple of good plays as well.
A long three-pointer by Jonah Antonio. He just chucked it up there. And the final score, University of Pacific 74, UNLV 66. We will not have a post-game guest on the show tonight on the air with us. Running Rebels fall now to 4-8. 4-8 on this campaign. We won't have a guest here, but we will be going live here momentarily. So the Running Rebels fall in this game 74-66 on a night in which UNLV had led by as many as 9 points in the contest, and UNLV led by 6 at halftime, but they just could not sustain it. And once again, a couple of droughts for UNLV. One of 4 minutes plus in the first half, and then about a 3.5, 4 minute drought in the second half. And the Rebels had several opportunities, Donovan, to pull away in this contest, and they just could not sustain it on the offensive end. I thought they did a pretty good job defensively tonight overall.
Yeah, they did, but they really struggled. I think in the second half, turning the ball over. First half I think they had about 6 turnovers. Second half they probably had 12. I don't know what the stats are; they're not in front of me, but just being careless with the ball. And then the Tigers were able to really capitalize on that. And then the Rebels, they didn't shoot the ball particularly well from distance. It looks like about 20% from 3 throughout the whole game.
They were 6 out of 22, 2 of 10 in the first half, and then 4 out of 12 in the second half. Yeah,
and so while they played well defensively, and they're starting to establish themselves as a defensive team, I think on the offensive end they didn't consistently move the ball and spread the floor. Because in the first half they did a lot of that. And you notice they were more fluid on the offensive end. But then, second half, I think they went one-on-one a little bit, maybe too much. And when you do that, the defense is already set. You know, there's already 4 or 5 guys in the lane just waiting for you. So that made it tough on the Rebels, I think, on the offensive end, and as a result, you know, their shooting percentage went down.
And as Amari Hardy goes, so go the Rebels now, without Elijah Mitru-Long in the lineup at the point guard spot. I think that takes the ball at times out of Hardy's hands, and he did not score a bucket from behind the arc tonight, and UNLV needs him to score consistently. Yes, he scored most of his points tonight, getting to the free throw line, which was effective. But there were some bright spots for UNLV. Jonah Antonio showed a little bit of rust, but Nick Blair contributed very well, perhaps his best all-around game this season as a running Rebel. And Bryce Hamilton in the second half in particular, and down the stretch, Rebels did a good job of trying to cut into that lead. It ballooned up to 10, and then they just kept chipping away, got it down to a 6-point lead very, very late. And, hey, you got to hand it to Pacific, and they made their free throws late. UNLV with a big advantage at the free throw line early on.
Yeah, they are, you know, the Tigers, really good team, well-coached team, obviously, and their depth really, really helped them tonight. You know, we talked about that in the pregame. And that was, I think, really a factor for Tripp to not even score in double digits, and we focused and keyed in on him. And I think the Rebels did a good job keying in on him as well. But they have so many guys that could score in double digits, so many guys that could score, and they had you know, a lot of guys step up on the offensive end and were a major factor for the Tigers. So good job, and kudos to them for doing that. And, you know, unfortunately for the Rebels, you know, the turnover woes, I think, continued.
But they they didn't come out flat in
right.
the game tonight.
No, they played hard. They played, you know, all the way through. They didn't give up. They showed a lot of grit and fight on the defensive end. You know, but the second half, I think, you know, it's a challenge when you're turning the ball over and you don't have that fluidity on the offensive end. And they weren't able to capitalize, you know, and score off of the defense as much in the second half as they were in the first half.
Coming up on Saturday, UNLV back here at the Thomas & Mack. It'll be a very rare 12 o'clock noon start. It's the big day with the Las Vegas Bowl here. A lot of sports activity in the Valley. But Robert Morris out of Pittsburgh, and the former school that Cleveland Edwards had attended back there in Pittsburgh, PA. Good team, disciplined. They just upset on their home court Central Michigan a couple of days ago. And that was the number 2 scoring team in the nation. And they did a pretty good job defensively. And again, that depth, when the Rebels play teams that have depth and can rebound, that's what frightens you and I the most.
Yeah, because the Rebels, when they're stretching it, they play about eight guys, you know, and they, you know, just like tonight, they were fired up and they were playing really well, but then they have those little lulls in their defense and their energy. You know, while, you know, on the other side with the Tigers, they were playing 11, 12 guys. And, you know, they were being held, you know, like on the defensive end, like you have to bring the energy. You have to play gritty the entire time. So that does wear on a team, you know, when you're playing 8 guys versus you know, 12, you know, 11, 12 guys. So that depth, I think, was a huge factor tonight.
Well, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And once again, we'll be on the air come Saturday at 12 o'clock noon, the tip-off time right here at the Thomas & Mack. Come on out here and join us. If not, tune in once again, myself and Donovan. And happy holidays. Enjoy this upcoming week, and we'll see you once again on Saturday. Once again, the final score from the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, University of Pacific 74, UNLV 66. Good night, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco for Donovan Stewart and our entire crew. We'll see you once again on Saturday. Take care.